Thank you everyone for joining us for an exciting AMA with Cere Networks founders Fred Jin and Kenzi Wang. My name is Shrina Kurani and I am Republic's Vice President of Business. Cere Network is building a decentralized data cloud on top of the Polkadot blockchain. You can think about Cere's DDC platform as the next-gen Snowflake. It establishes a more secure first-party data foundation in the cloud by using blockchain identity and data encryption to onboard and segment individual consumer data. I wanted to start off with just a quick quote from Cere's CEO, who's joining us today, Fred Jin, that I absolutely love. Blockchain technologies can unlock tremendous value and efficiency for businesses in today's world by building a bridge between enterprises and decentralized networks alongside the Polkadot ecosystem. The Cere platform will be introducing the first viable solution for minimizing the trillions of dollars in fees and locked up payments trapped in the inefficiencies of laggard enterprises' X as a service contracts. It is my pleasure to introduce the founders of Cere, CEO Fred Jin and Kenzi Wang, formerly of Huobi. All right, I'll let you guys take it away.
Hey guys, good to be here. I think we're excited, and we known the AngelList, Republic, and CoinList folks for a long time, and we're find them to be really, really good partners. So yeah, again, thank you, Shrina, for hosting. And so I think we can probably dive into like a short deck, just kind of give everyone a quick narrative and overview. And after that, we can break down into, individual questions or specific questions from the audience here. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Sounds great. Let's do it.
Cool. Let me share my screen. Yeah, so I think we'll understand, pretty clear the opportunity and where the world is headed in terms of, the both, in terms of, everything that we've done in our careers. So I think when we first started out the project, coming out of 2019. When we came out of the Binance Labs incubation, I think our focus at the time was to, build a decentralized sales force. And I think at the time, that was the objective. And I think eventually over the last 2 years of hard work and grinding, I think it's crystallized into both the vision and the product that we have today. So I'll quickly go into a little bit of background about the team. I think it's worth noting that one of the biggest differentiations about us is that we have, three founders on the team who have built venture-backed businesses in Silicon Valley before. So it's a slightly different, I think setup than most of the projects, who came before us trying to tackle these, this huge space. So I myself been in Silicon Valley since '97, mostly doing all startups since then, pretty much. And then I think the last built a gaming company, gaming platform company that was backed by Tencent, and big part of the innovation we're doing actually came from some of the inspiration and innovation from those days. And Kenzi here, he was GM of Huobi in the US, has investor background as well as a venture background, previously built a YC company. And also folks like, Ian, who I've worked with, since 2007, 2008, when we were both at Bebo. He ran search and discovery team at Twitch, and Persona here I've known for almost 30 years. He used to run a enterprise startup that was backed by Sequoia, I think that's 20 years ago with my brother. So I think experience stacked together, and also we have some amazing advisors like Brad Bao, who was GM of Tencent, used to be on the board of my gaming company, who also is kind of known for launching Line Bike, raising $1 billion for Line Bike, and starting that. And also we have Rajani, who was the first COO of Salesforce for 14 years. She's an amazing advisor. We do weekly calls. and folks like Sandeep from Matic or Polygon. So yeah, and we have a very distributed team ourselves that's spread across Europe and US and so yeah, so I think the diving into the vision here. So I think the huge there's huge opportunity, and it's been a huge challenge for a lot of people, which is how to get enterprise to adopt to blockchain technology, or how do you onboard enterprise data. And I think we really see ourselves sort of position as a sort of a enterprise adoption hub, right? That's plugged into the Polkadot ecosystem. And so we've been working with Polkadot folks since 2019, and we've always believed in sort of a constellation where a consortium of interoperable blockchains to solve all of the today's enterprise problem, rather than one blockchain to rule them all, right? Which is kind of like the current realm, with Ethereum and DeFi. So I think this will, very quickly evolve and move away from that. Imagine that you have a clusters of network that's, all interconnected, and some of them are doing very, specific, payment identity, micropayment and data utilities, and some of them are very specific to certain enterprises. And then that's the only way to really move forward. The key is, making this as sort of easy for businesses to latch onto, right? I mean, like we all know how Ethereum works, where like every transaction has a payment model behind it, so it's super heavy and super like over optimized for security and trust, but very hard to adopt for enterprise use cases, right? So these are all changing. These are all a lot of the cool technology that we're bringing forward. And again, I won't touch on this too much, but we all understand like there's a huge amount of data that's trapped into all of the existing data silos. And there's a huge amount of this is very exciting space, right? Where we're headed. I think we really see what we're bringing in terms of both of our go-to-market strategy and our AI and machine learning specific type of solutions we're bringing to enterprise, and coupled with our decentralized data cloud. It's all converging on a huge, just super exciting areas of innovation. That just keeping us super excited every day.
I love this, Fred. One quick question we're getting from
Sure.
some of the participants is that they're having some trouble reading the slides. Would you be able to enter present mode for the presentation?
Sure.
And that way I think it'll make it a little bit bigger for folks.
Yeah, I have this like really big new screen. So I'm kind of afraid to really stretch it out. So I'm sure you guys can see it better now.
Much better. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Fred.
cool. Yeah, no problem. So yeah, so we all know, right? This is why we started this whole journey, is that there's a huge conflict of interest, right? The folks and also every business knows that today, you have to start figure out your own first party data strategy, rather than just hand your data over to Facebook or to Google. There's a whole lot of issues with privacy and security, and how do you unsee that data once you share with with other folks, right? And a lot of these ecosystems, the Adobes, the Salesforce, and whatnot, it's in their best interest to hold on to your data for as long as possible, and try to extract as much fees from you as possible, and try to get everyone to plug into their ecosystem rather than your ecosystem. So we see this with I think Snowflake is kind of a good example, where everyone's understand, okay, we want to have all our data into our own first party data cloud, and we want to be able to attach all of our business operations into that, and quickly extract information across all in one place, and be immediately accessible by the different whether it's machine learning processes and and or analytics, what is data integration. So that is where the world is going, right? And this is exactly where we're headed to. But obviously we bring a few different sets of differentiating technology to the table, but the overall vision is the same, right? You want your own sort of like brand or business specific data cloud where you can have partners, vendors, or even intelligent computing processes, right, to easily attach themselves to very customizable sets of data. So I think the Cere Decentralized Data Cloud is our key innovation piece. It's kind of like the foundation for us to build all of our solutions on top of. And I'll just quickly, this is a little bit geeky, but I will quickly talk about this. So effectively what we build at the lowest part of this is a new, it's a novel approach to big data, right? So it's basically, we look at what's missing, and we went on this path a couple of years ago. We see, okay, we really need to start to figure out a way to onboard data where it's, it doesn't involve in a huge, like, a data lake migration or whatever, but rather, like sort of a plug and play ways to start onboarding data. And then at the same time that treat that data specific focus on individual consumer data segmentation and data encryption. So that will allow all the to have much more granular customization and have much more possibility of opening up data. And also you start with privacy preservation and data encryption right from the onset of that data being onboarded onto into this sort of unstructured data storage. That's what really unlocks all of the solutions upstream to be much more agile and much more customizable. And the whole idea is that's doesn't matter whether it's Snowflake, doesn't matter it's Siri. That the whole idea is that you have to compete on those things, right? How do you get there faster? How do you bring more customization? So I think that's the sort of like the key part of. Looks like there's something missing, but again, I think this is kind of there's a slide that's missing here. Oh, I'm sorry, that's just
it's animated.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so the whole idea is that there's a lot of excitement. You're seeing that the data engineering is kind of a decoupling from software engineering, and you have like communities like Hegel, for example, that has over 200,000 people there. They're sharing their learning model, they're sharing their data sets, they're sharing their best practices. The only thing that's really missing, it's sort of a workflow and set of smart contracts basically and token that can power jobs that can be put into this on-demand data marketplace. And that is exactly where everything is going, right? So the whole idea is set the foundation, figure out how to get early traction, and see this marketplace with concrete data sets, and also our internal sort of tools and workflow to unlock this this on-demand data marketplace in the near future. And I think before jumping to the next slide, I think this is again, this is what we're seeing in how we're working with consumer enterprises, especially where there are a lot of similar data sets, right? You need to know how to interact with the consumer, like while you have their attention, right? You want to know, okay, this is the third time this person's used my app, or this is the third time this person's stopped by my location. What do we know about this person before? How do we predict the things that this person will want? So there's a lot of things that are very common and very similar from business to business, but every business is a little different. So for us, and we already anticipated, okay, we're going to need to hire this number of data scientists internally, or we could actually pipe them all into this open data marketplace that we will be able to seed as a marketplace that we'll be able to seed on both sides, right? So we will bring both the enterprise data sets and also some of the SaaS revenue on one side, and then on the supply side, on the labor supply side, we're going to have, bounties and incentives for people to participate into this marketplace. So, and again, I think there's something that we haven't really fully announced, but I think there is with NFTs. I think this is one of the really exciting arena where sort of like, direct to consumer application space that we're very excited about. And we won't go into too much of it, but I think there's going to be some pretty big announcement with some very, very amazing performing artists and visual artists who will be working with us on a couple of experiential sites that really unlocks the power of NFTs, and something that's sorely missing from the entire NFT space today, which is the secure asset delivery in addition to just the certification of that asset ownership, right? And I think, this is where, like, potentially there's really good opportunity to change the game for creators, right? And disrupt what's, kind of the current landscape that's set by the likes of Spotify and Apple and YouTube and etc. So this is just kind of like a little bit of a glimpse into that. The whole idea is that what most people don't understand is like each NFT token is sort of like, it's a mapping of a unique relationship between an artist and each individual fan. And if you could actually have that data, it will keep parts of that experiential data, whether it's unlocking the full visuals of a virtual art exhibition, or be able to access a special virtual concert as a part of like first 500 fans who own a special artist token, and allow artists to monetize their music videos and do more virtual concerts, the things that it's actually perfect use case for Cere DDC, with Decentralized Data Cloud. So what's really missing today is the ability of atomic operation. As soon as that NFT is actually sold or transferred to the new holder, we will be able to grant that new token holders public key the access to this special data sets, right? So that only they can participate in these special experiences. So that's just stuff we're super excited about. We haven't really gone into it too much, but what we are focused on the enterprise side, I'll talk about it a little bit more. I think the key thing that we're really focused on, the quick way to understand it is that on top of our Cere DDC, we have a set of highly highly customizable and dynamically tuned virtual agents that are specialized for certain type of services or functionality to sort of like focus on things like product affinity, things like prediction based on usage and visit and purchase patterns, and focus on optimizing for discounts and rewards and user engagement, user retention. So these are the sets of AI agents that works for Cere DDC, specifically to focus on the hyper personalization, and also have effectively a way to have this sort of like verifiable kind of a way of looking at every single user's interaction, so that you can sort of like trust these intelligent in all the decision that it makes, and also have a way to sort of look at all the different interactions and extract all of the key learnings from that. So it's a completely fully optimized and designed to work with Cere DDC. So this is where we're getting a lot of traction. And again, we have years and years of experience. I think, personally, I have, over a dozen years of building just, app-based businesses, like games, like different utility applications. And the first thing that you do, which is, and so this is stuff that we've been, doing for more than a dozen years. And it is a big part of the understanding of, knowing that, nowadays you can't just sort of like react and try to activate user, after they're already like sort of turned out, and try to get those users to come back to your application via email or via whatever approach. Those just don't work, right? You have to have a much more of a proactive and predictive approach. And every brand or every business needs to do this. And every application, struggle with this. So this is why we focus on the sort of, the highly reusable, customizable solutions that leverage the power of Siri DC and can be plugged into any application, any business, and address a lot of the common the problems with the user engagement and user customization and evolving that customer experience over time, right? So I think with that we can pretty much questions.
Thank you so much for that, Fred. That was incredibly informative, and we have questions pouring in. So I am doing my best to sort of group them into specific topics. So if you do have any questions, please continue to put them into the Q&A, and we'll continue to make our way through them. All right, so let's just zoom out for a quick second, because I think there's a lot of people here that are still very new to the general concept of the decentralized data cloud. So let's just very briefly, what exactly is a decentralized data cloud, and how does that support the end user?
So the decentralized data cloud has double meaning, right? So it's decentralized in the fact that there's these data nodes that actually makes up the whole network, and they're basically not run by just one entity, right? So if you look at what Snowflake has done, they have their Snowflake sort of a data marketplace, but you have to be a Snowflake customer. You have to be a Snowflake vendor. You have to be a Snowflake developer to be part of that sort of centralized or siloed approach, right? And then the same thing with the Salesforce, the same thing with Adobe, same thing with Microsoft. So you have these natural data siloing that really prevents data interoperability, right? So the where the world is going, and this is 100%, we're all convinced of that, is that every brand or every business needs to be full control of their data, right? So having that data in a network that is decentralized and having your own keys to that data set, which means no one else, even we, the customers that we're onboarding, we can't see their data, right? Everything is actually fully encrypted with the keys that they have. So that is the sort of the level of security and also privacy preservation and also data interoperability that you need going forward.
And specifically on the encryption case, we actually had a question for personal data collection in the EU. So there's a question around, if I collect personal data from the EU users and sort of use Siri network, where is the data transferred? Is it all over the world, and is it encrypted before leaving the EU in every single case?
Yeah, good question. So there's a reason why we're only focusing on. There's a reason why we're only focusing on, Fortune 1000 company in the U.S. at the moment. It's specifically, at those things. But having said that, we have some, sort of like amazing tool sets and amazing sort of, preventive measures that's already happened. Because one, it's like we're basically sort of like, how cookies, they're these, the litter everywhere. They're like, big security issue where, they have all these random third party looking into your user data. So basically what we're doing is like, we move that to the server side where only you can sort of like, encrypt that data, and also allows, like which process to be given like the runtime permission or signatures to access the data sets, right? And very granularly controlled. Okay, only this set of data set, only this set of data set from this set of users to be, operated with a certain computing process, right? I mean, with all that's going on with, automated software orchestration and sort of like, bringing all these different processes and dynamically, attaching that to these very granular, very securely accessible data is where the future is going, right? So.
Yeah, and thank you for that. I think that's gives a lot of insights into, especially focusing on the Fortune 500 companies here in the US. And one of the questions that Rick had is, who is the one competitor that you're concerned about and that you're watching, and why is that?
Well, I think I think we're definitely look a lot to what snowflakes are doing, and I think we're 100% aware of the advantages and disadvantages. I think we're just focused on specific sort of like more customized utility that kind of like plugs into our wheelhouse, right? Where our service solutions, and that is specifically designed for certain sectors or certain type of businesses, right? We know that it's going to be a while before we take them head on, but I think it's in the meantime we'll keep on chipping away at that lead, and from it's kind of like the bottom up, right? And just asymmetrical warfare is the term I like to use, which is not to take them head on, but also look at what we do better than they do and how do we focus on those specific set of needs.
Yeah, I love that. A few more follow-up questions on competitors, and then we can move on from there. How would you position Siri versus Oasis Labs, who's focusing on privacy and monetization, and the other competitor that people are thinking about is also Akash. So how would you position Siri compared to those two?
I think it was a Ocean Network or Oasis Labs. I think
Oasis Labs.
Okay. There's going to be a lot of different participants in this area, and there's going to be a lot of different ways to. I think the only way that you can really approach this is sort of like the analogy I always like to use, like desert warfare, where it's like you just move fast, right? You're seek out and move faster and grab sort of the drive adoption, right? I think the key thing here is who can you actually bring on board, and the most important thing is actual adoption. So we built both sort of a SaaS initiative and also a data network, and it makes it extra hard, but we knew this from the beginning. Because we built real business before, right? So you have to figure out how to get traction, how to get drive our adoption, how to use like sales and marketing and customer success and follow through to actually and have a product that's end of the day, we're solutions that are easy to adopt and addresses acute problems and do it faster, better, right? So our focus is just not looking too much about what everyone else is. The space is huge. The future is amazing. We just got to move fast.
Yeah, I love that. And the space is wide open right now. And I think the ability for Siri to be able to move fast and be able to take it forward, I think is going to be, opportunity is incredible. All right, so we've talked about competitors a little bit. Now let's talk about collaborators and different types of groups that you can work with. So people are excited about Polkadot, but Sergey has a question about how will Siri Network plan to collaborate with other ecosystems like Ethereum, Dfinity, et cetera, as well as people are wondering about Cardano. So just curious about collaborations in the space and how you're seeing the future of Siri in terms of working with other groups.
Yeah, venture, I think you really have to trust and have a lot of faith in the people that you're sort of like going into this with, right? And we've had operations in Berlin for a while. We've kind of like been I was part of the enterprise adoption meetup in San Francisco with Polkadot folks in 2019. I was on the panel there, and I think it's really, you have to sort of really understand. I think over a period of time, we didn't say, hey, we're gonna move all to Polkadot. We didn't say we're gonna do that immediately, but it took us a while to really understand, okay, what are they building, play with their code and play with their technology, talk to their team, went to all up and down the Web3 Foundation folks. It's through a lot of different interactions we actually really got a good understanding of the feel for how everything's going, and it is pretty incredible how they're run almost like a business, right? It's very different from, they say, Ethereum Foundation. They're everyone top and down from all the folks that we work with on their grants team, or folks we work with on their builders program, on their marketing team and PR folks. They have a very good team and very good operations and very good sort of foundation for innovation at this point, and that's why we're for example, there's like 5 existing Ethereum to Polkadot bridges, right? We don't have to build it ourselves. I mean, we just have to, look at the ones that's, best fit and sort of like extend it, right? The system is set up in a very, very, much more for, bigger innovation. It's what we feel.
Thank you for that. All right, so just continuing on that lens in terms of what you're excited to see, what kinds of apps are you excited to see built on top of Siri? And are there specific, markets or sectors or industries that you're going to initially be focusing on as this sort of continues to build out?
Great question. So I think, so in the enterprise space, we already have, integrations with 2 very well-known brands that's ongoing. So the area that we focus on there is travel, media, and retail, because I think there's a lot of similarities in the data, so that they fit well into our sort of reusable pattern and in modular solutions that we will be able to stack into sort of like custom solution for guys, and things that are really exciting to us is what I kind of like showed a little bit with the NFT space. So we have 2 experiential platforms that we'll be launching with great lineup of artists, right? Both visual artists, to sort of unveil like something that's like a huge leap over what the current NFT experiences are. So imagine like you're a top musician and you have virtual concerts where only your amount of fans who will actually hold your tokens can actually participate in, right? They connect the wallet to the destination and they will be able to like participate in that. Or same thing with visual artists, same thing. So really differentiating the value to the token holder, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And as we're starting to talk about that actual value and how people are going to be operating on this platform, we're getting some questions about payments and fees and how this really works, right? So we have a couple of questions. One's from Honor. What is the cost of data storage and transactions in the system? And do you support cross-chain data transfers? And then sort of similarly or tangentially, we have a question coming in that gas fees are expensive for Ethereum. So how are you approaching gas fees for Siri?
Yes, very, very, very good question. Like I alluded to earlier, I think the whole model of like, over optimizing for security, like as Ethereum has done. And again, I'm not knocking Ethereum. It's, I think DeFi and everything it's done has been an inspiration to all of us. But I think having this sort of like every transaction as a whole payment model, it needs to go through consensus. A million computers around the world needs to like all at the same time, look at a transaction to say, hey, okay, this is legit, right? So that will never scale, right? And it's extra secure, it is extra redundant, it's extra decentralized, it's extra all of that, right? But it's just extra usable. So the way that we do it is like we actually have all of our validation nodes that they actually work with our data nodes, so that there's a set of smart contracts that basically you're sort of, you connect your wallet with, I say to our sign up, kind of like you going to Amazon, right? Or AWS or any of these developer websites, you say, hey, I want to have this amount of throughput and this level of service, right? That usually equates in how much data and how much throughput and how many operations. And then that will allow you to use our decentralized data cloud to a point where, all of the data nodes actually talk to our validation nodes. It kind of understands, which wallet has how much, access or throughput to it, right? So that is something that absolutely has to happen. And I think we're one of the first to bring that to the world, which is, you can have, 10,000, concurrent access or transactions, per minute, for example, right? Eventually per second on our decentralized data cloud, right? Without really slowing down the main network.
Yeah, and speaking of that scale, are you seeing or foreseeing any issues around scaling the platform?
Yeah, it's always a challenge, right? So I think all of there's a lot of tuning. There's a lot of both vertical and optimization of the network operation. But there is no theoretical limit to the horizontal scalability. So if you look at the grant that we completed for Polkadot not too long ago, which is specifically used by our current integrations, to allow any business to quickly launch their own private network that attaches to Siri mainnet, right? So the whole idea that kind of answers the question that was posed earlier. Do you see that data interoperability? Yes. So the whole idea is that the private network can then bring that data onto this Siri open data marketplace and bring that into the open market, the data marketplace. So that is exactly what the Siri DDC and Siri main provide utility and security and access to the open data marketplace.
Fantastic. And thank you so much for sharing how that's really going to work. I think with Siri is such a unique way that is truly an improvement across everything that's happening in the industry. Now, how does Siri actually reach full decentralization? Can you walk us through that?
Yes. So when we will be launching our alpha mainnet very soon, and the target of the alpha mainnet is that basically we're basically following all of the critical place that the playbook of Polkadot and Kusama, et cetera, in making sure that you run through nominated proof of stake and then going to full proof of stake, and then ensuring that majority of the network is actually run by external collaborators, right? Not so that is the measure, the measure mark for initial alpha mainnet. And the same thing, with data operations, and of course, shortly after that, we will achieve the next level, which is ability to sort of use the full decentralized sort of governance model, right? That's already sort of proven and tuned. So we're tuning that as we speak. So there's a very, very concrete plan for getting to that point soon.
Fantastic. And question from Robert, when will this become commercially available? And what is the exit and liquidity strategy?
So it is effectively commercially available to our current integration partners, because we need to go through this necessary process internally before we can open up to sort of a self-service model and say, hey, here's all the tools that you need, right? And this is the example. This is the different patterns that it really addresses. So we are just 100% just cranking through those so we can make it sort of everything fully openly available. But some of the basic utility, basic use cases we will be publishing as soon as we launch alpha mainnet to with a full documentation of what you can do. And these are the tools that you can do, that how you can drop in different data encryption packages. How do you actually start, uploading data? What are some of the optimizations you could do, to achieve more efficiency? So all of that will be launched and then made openly available as we launch our alpha mainnet.
Thank you for that. And so let's start looking forward a little bit to the future. What are some of the most important short-term, let's say 1-year milestones for Siri?
I think the two most important objectives for us, in addition to sort of just launching a network and getting it, we are talking to all the big exchanges and et cetera. I think it just the sort of like going through the public sale with Republic and launching a network and working with the exchanges. I think that's kind of like one sequence. It kind of all works together at the same time, and you have to execute on all this stuff at the same time. So as soon as we're done with that, the most important thing for us is one is our sort of the NFT experience, because I think it will be a sort of it's one thing that's really missing from the current space. That's something that we will be able to launch, shortly after our mainnet launch, later this year. And then this is the launch of our open data marketplace, which means that we will be taking a lot of the integrations, partners data sets and making those to be concrete like data sets that can be attached to our set of workflow, and also attached to the specialized smart contracts to allow developers and data analysts and scientists to immediately access that data, right? Because that will demonstrate that we're one step closer to that vision to the future, where it's the being able to open up all this data that's trapped into all of the data silos that's out there today, and the power of that what that brings to the future. So.
And so you talked about, fundraising milestones as being one part of it. There are some incredible financial backers for this project. And, what other things do you think that they're offering besides financial support for the project? Is it facilitating partnerships with other projects? How would you sort of consider the backing that Cere has been able to garner, and how that's been instrumental to what they're really offering for you and for the future?
Yeah, I think this is where I think Kenzi has been instrumental in terms of just running like everything on the business side. I think this is probably he can probably talk a little bit about that. Kenzi?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, so we've been really focused on building and coming out from Binance Labs. We received a lot of support from them, in the first place. And also along the way, really focused on building tech, especially on this new technology, Polkadot, and that got us a lot of attention, and also receiving a grant, from Web3 Foundation fairly early on, and also especially along with us producing tremendous traction in the enterprise space with Fortune 2,000 companies. A lot of them, we can't mention them yet. We want to release the news after we get on, finish our public sale, and also finish our mainnet. Then we have a lot of truly groundbreaking, news releases with some of the world's leading travel and also media enterprises. So that's why investors are extremely excited about Cere, and also willing to back us fully. So we received a lot of interest from both institutional investors as well as market makers and exchanges. So a good variety of investors globally. So very blessed to have support along the way, and can't wait to show the world what we're building on.
That's so exciting, Kenzi, and thank you so much for sharing a little bit more there. So let's talk. You mentioned Polkadot. We actually got quite a few questions at the beginning about what is Polkadot, and can you tell us a little bit more about the capabilities for opening up Cere to be building on top of Polkadot?
Yeah, so I think I think when people talk about Polkadot, I think the first thing you have to talk about is sort of a substrate, which is the framework or technology framework that's used to build Polkadot, right? So if you look at Polkadot, it's got like 150 something. Well, last time I checked, right, maybe 160 different GitHub repos and 300 something thousand lines of code, and 90% of that's all substrate. So what Polkadot is really it's two things. One is a sort of a technology toolkit and a building block allows people to extend it, like how we're extending it, how some of our partners like like say Crust or Darwinia and other top projects within the Polkadot ecosystem. They're kind of using sort of like a sort of like a similar foundation, right? So that really sets the platform for interoperability down the line. And also the Polkadot itself, really, it's sort of a, relay chain network, right? It's really a way for a set of interoperable blockchain networks to work together, right? That's the main purpose of Polkadot itself. So again, I think it's a extremely, I think, well-organized approach, and also it's very powerful ecosystem. You can go to their site to see who's building what, and you can actually see how some of the technology can help your project and help other businesses down the line, right? So again, a sort of a single blade approach just not going to cut it today, right? Or it's not one blockchain network to win it all, right? It's not a conversation between really Cardano, Ethereum, or Cosmos or whatever. It's really sort of this sort of like consortium of people aligned with the same vision to really unlock the future.
Thank you. And Fred, Kenzi, and Martijn, you have a ton of fans in the audience, and they want to know, recommendations. How can your community, as a supporter, as a backer, as a community member, help Cere? What is the best way for an early backer to contribute to this ecosystem?
Yeah, I think we are actually there are a few different ways, right? We have I think one is sort of reach out to us with specific, like say business needs, and we're always willing to hear that. We always want to hear that. And Martijn here, he's been talking to a lot of folks, right? From Martijn, maybe you can quickly talk about some of the folks that you've been talking to just since we've been in the last few months.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, there are different aspects to it. So we currently have a small set of external testers that are helping us out with testing new releases in anticipation of a wider technical incentive program. But as well on the business development side. So when people look at your website, they see potential. So that can range from, let's say, Salesforce consultants to Big Four offices like Ernst & Young, of Deloitte. And they all see the potential coming from their own experience in their day-to-day job, that there's a need for decentralized data. So it's really interesting to talk with these people, to hear from their experience in the field, and to see how we can actually enhance solutions for their clients. And I would say, lastly, there's, next to the usual community, there's a lot of people who reach out to us and say, hey, we want to write articles or reports or papers or visuals or memes. There's really no wrong answer on how you can contribute to the platform. So we're always open to suggestions on these three aspects, but definitely if you have another suggestion, always happy to reach out, have a chat, and to see how you can contribute to the platform.
I love that. And you have a ton of folks who are excited to help in any way that we can. And there is also one more question around, maybe some folks who are still needing a little bit of convincing. So why should you hold the Cere token?
Well, I think again, I don't want to sort of like, talk about any sort of anything that could, have a compliance or legal ramifications, right? But I think the key thing here is it's something to power a sort of a network, a sort of like interconnected data, right? And also people and processes. And I think that itself is, and the stuff that we'll be doing with the open data marketplace, that is, something that it's actually will help, will be powered by the Cere token. That will help to sort of unlock all of the data and all of the sort of our workflow. So bring on demand sort of help to access all that data and help secure all that data, and also deliver solutions on top of that data. So I think that is the most powerful and sort of exciting part of it.
Thank you for that, Fred. And we have just a few more questions that we can get through. I know we only have 4 minutes left, and this has been a jam-packed session. So I just want to say thank you again for your time, and for everyone that has been tuning in. We'll be sharing some more details in the chat, but we will be asking just a few last questions. So both Patrick and Hank have just chimed in, would love to hear why you've chosen to work with Republic.
Well, I mean, funny story, right? So when I was running my gaming company, I was our office was on Maiden Lane in San Francisco, and there's this new company that moved in next door to us. It was called AngelList, right? It was like this is 2012, I think, maybe. And then I see Nabal walking down the street, and then they actually didn't have Wi-Fi, so they actually put their Wi-Fi in our server room. Like I actually help them set up a Wi-Fi like relay area, in our server room. So we've known some of the AngelList and CoinList and Kenzi, knows all of those folks as well. And also Republic, they were one of our first, came out of Binance incubation back in 2019. So we actually we're in the same office complex where we were. So I think they had first kind of access to what we're doing. So I think we always had a good rapport, and we always had your support. So I think this is and we also see that you guys are sort of like going all in on the space, and we want to be that sort of use this as a good collaboration to build something great.
Thank you so much for that, Fred. All right, well, that is it for our session today. I'll just share some quick next steps in case I know we've gotten a lot of questions about what's coming next, how people can participate, and what they can do. And so let me just share some quick next steps. Here's what you need to do. First step, make sure you have an account on republic.co. Go ahead and complete your personal details. This is all in your settings, and then verify your accreditation. And as soon as we have more details, we'll be reaching out and letting everyone know as soon as possible once all the final kinks have been ironed out. But just make sure that you have everything ready, so as soon as we're ready to go, you'll be the first to find out and ready to participate. So these are the sort of 3 next steps that we have for folks. Thank you everyone so much. We'll drop these links into the chat as well, so everyone has them. But any parting words? Actually, you know what? One last fun question for y'all. We've gotten quite a few questions around your name. Why Siri?
Oh yeah, it's a really good question. So Siri is actually short for cerebellum. So cerebellum network. So right from the beginning, I think being able to understand behavior, the user action has always been kind of like our inspiration, right? So I've been thinking about this problem for like 12 years. I mean, basically, we used to have all these different games, right? We want to understand, okay, what has the user done in this game? What has the user done in this game? How do we, leverage the information that we collected here? What did this person buy here? What did this person, add in terms of their play, friends that were settings done? And how do we, drive these folks to do more of our offers, right? And that is actually a big inspiration behind what we do. So
I love that. I think it speaks so much to your vision for the future, and we're so excited to be working alongside you. All right. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you, Fred, Kenji, and Martijn, for all of your time and for answering all of the amazing questions, and for a very, very engaged audience, both in the chat and the Q&A. We had, I think, hundreds of questions pouring in, and apologies if we weren't able to get to them. But as we said, we'll be sharing information very shortly. So just stay tuned, follow these quick instructions that I will be posting in the chat. And we're excited to have you all on the journey with us. Thank you again so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of your weekends.
Yeah, thank you, Shrina. Thank you for being such an amazing host. Thank you.